Hello people on YouTube land, Jamie here once again, here to talk about 5 films. That's right, 5 films. And I want to talk about my 5 favourite films of 2018 so far. And there are no order because obviously at the end of the year I do 10 favourite films of the year. But this year has been really good for movies. There's been a couple of crappy ones along the way, which just happens with every year. But this year, it's very rare for me to say I have 5 films that I would rate 10 out of 10. Now, does that mean that these films are 10 out of 10 films? Probably not, but to me, they are because I enjoyed them without any concerns or problems. I can see faults in these films. Every film has faults. But for some reason, these films just hit a spark with me, and I really loved them. And I just want to talk to you about my 5 favourite films of 2018 so far. I'm going to start off with the Wes Anderson movie, Isle of Dogs. Now, Isle of Dogs has had mixed reviews. Some people think that it's trash. Some people think that it's not funny. Some people don't think it's a good story. Some people just say it's weird. And you know what? It is weird. It is a very unusual film. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad film. I mean, technically, it is brilliant, the way they've animated it and everything. But I found it personally... I found it interesting, I found it funny, I found it well paced, I thought the score and the music fitted very well to the story, and it has that Wes Anderson feel. And if you don't like Wes Anderson, then you're not going to be convinced with this one. However, I think that it is actually one of Wes Anderson's best films, because it has a lot to say about itself, with culture and references, and also with... I just really loved it. I thought it was funny, well paced, good story, a bit mad and bonkers. But then again, I guess I am as well. So anyway, so that's number 1 of my top 5 films of the year so far. Number 2 is a film that took me by surprise. I was looking forward to seeing it. The trailer sold me, but I didn't realise how good it was going to be until I saw it, and that was A Quiet Place. A Quiet Place is directed by John Krasinski, who was in... I hope I said his name right. Krasinski, the bloke out of The Office in the American version. And it is a film about, ironically, about sound. The film is about this family that live on a farm, and there's these monsters that act to sound. If you make a noise, they find you, basically. And I thought it was brilliantly tense, terrifying at times, and it was really nerve-wracking. The sound editing for a film that is mainly silent in some retrospect is just perfect. The story has great depth. It feels like it's the middle of a trilogy, if you see what I mean, like a well-developed middle of a trilogy. But you don't need to see a prequel, as much as I would watch it in a heartbeat. You don't need it, and you don't really need a sequel, even though I would watch that as well. So it kind of all concludes itself perfectly. And it has a lot of character development and has a lot of emotion to it. A very emotional movie, actually, surprisingly. And the acting is superb. Emily Blunt and her actually on-screen and off-screen husband are very well done indeed. They certainly feel like they're a couple. But yeah, it's terrifyingly scary. Yes, it certainly is scary. I mean, I loved last year's horror film, It. But I didn't find it that scary, if I was to be honest. I thought it was a very good movie, and very well acted and all that. But I found it to be not really scary, jumpy, probably is the best word for it. Now, this one, though, I actually found quite scary, because it made you think. It made you think about how much noise we actually make. I mean, I'm making noise. If I did that, they'd come and get me. So you think about how much noise you make in a day-to-day basis. It's quite scary in retrospect. So anyway, the film, as like I said, is brilliantly made, brilliantly directed, has some great sound design. It's one that makes people shut the fuck up in cinemas unless you're unlucky. When I went to see it, not one person made a noise. In fact, everybody who had popcorn put the popcorn on the floor because they felt uncomfortable eating because of the noise it makes. This film makes you go quiet and it makes you pay attention, and I just loved it. And it's certainly one of the best horror films, well, of this year and of recent years as well. I mean, I say that about a lot of horror films because I do love horror films, but I do feel this is one that stands out from the others. So it's my second film of this year. Third film is anime by Studio Ponok, and they are some of the animators from Studio Ghibli, which sadly closed their doors a couple of years back. And they done a film called, which was released in the States, I believe, last year, but this year it was released in the UK, Mary and the Witch's Flower. And it's basically about a young girl who goes for a walk in the woods and finds a broom and these flowers, which gives her the power to be a witch. And she ends up flying to a witch's school and finds out that things aren't quite as what they seem. And it's a very richly animated film that's very well paced, beautifully animated, great characters, and good story. That's all they ever really need in a movie, is a good story. And I really thought that this was one of the best Ponok. I can't really say Ghibli anymore because they've closed, but if you go by Ghibli standards, it's not up there with Princess Mononoke or Spirited Away. But it's certainly up there with like Arrietty, and because Arrietty is actually my personal favourite of Ghibli's work. It was one of the very first ones I actually saw of Ghibli's work, believe it or not. So yeah, I was quite late to the game in some retrospect to Ghibli. But I had actually seen My Neighbour Totoro when I was a young lad, but didn't know what on earth it was. It was late one night on television. But I'm going away from the story, what I'm driving to, and that is Mary and the Witch's Flower. It is a very beautifully made animated film, and I would recommend it for families. This is definitely one that kids would love, and it's one that adults could watch and not be too bored. It's got some funny moments, it's got some dark moments, it's got a good story, it goes at a good pace, and there is an English dub for all those who can't be bothered to read subtitles. So make sure you get yourself around to watching it. It's certainly good as a family film. So yes, Mary and the Witch's Flower is my number 3 film of the year. Now, number 4. I'm going to talk about a film which has recently come out. And I have to say that I absolutely loved it, and that is Avengers Infinity War. Avengers Infinity War is the latest film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and all the characters from all the Marvel movies over the years, bar a couple, come together to fight the evil Thanos. And my God, this film has broken records. It's hugely successful. It's the biggest film, one of the biggest films ever made, hands down. So it's naturally going to have a lot of anticipation, and it didn't let me down. I loved it from A to B, right from the start to the end. It was so funny and so fast paced, with great story, great acting, great cast. I mean, the cast is like boom fuck of a load of people. You've got Mark Ruffalo, you've got Benedict Cumberbatch, you've got Christ, it just goes on and on. You think about it. It's got Chris Hemsworth. Oh God, what's his bloody name? I forget his name. That's me boasting about. Chris Evans. That's his name. The Mrs. Favourite, Chris Evans. She does like him. It just goes on. Robert Downey Jr. and I tell you, it's fantastic. It really is a great big explosion of a movie, big popcorn, and an emotional one as well. Amount of people at the end who were sobbing, and that's not a spoiler. That's not a spoiler. But because of the spectacle of the film, people were sobbing because it was such a big movie, and it is devastating, and you don't have any idea how devastating it is, especially for what is to come. However, I feel like it's a bit of a cheat, because if you know the comics, you know what comes next, and it's kind of like, do you remember no, I can't talk about it. I can't talk about it, because if I do, then I'll get told off for saying spoilers. Not that anyone watches this, but I will just say that it is definitely a film which you have to experience, and on the big screen. It's a massive film. You have to see this on the big screen. There's no point watching it at home or watching it on Kodi, which is what knockoff Nigels do. You have to watch it on the big screen with a big box of popcorn and just be taken in by this massive epic movie. And yes, it got a 10 out of 10. It's probably not a 10 out of 10 if you were going to go as a film critic, but personally, as a personal film lover and geek, I thought it was a spectacular emotionally and hysterical blockbuster movie. One of the best we've had, and one of the best Marvel movies, hands down. It's up there for me. So definitely go and see that on the big screen. Don't watch it on telly. Well, actually you do when you get it on Blu-ray and everything. But yeah, make sure you go and see this. It is an event movie. Right, and the last film on my top 5 films is The Shape of Water. The Shape of Water is Guillermo del Toro's latest drama, horror, fantasy, romantic movie. And it came out last year in the States once again, but we got it late over here. Oscar buzz, of course. It won the best Oscar movie, and yeah, I'm glad it did. 3 billboards was good, but I think this was a better film all round. I thought the direction was spot on. The cinematography was beautiful. The acting was fantastic. I mean, the main leads are amazing in this movie. The story was compelling. It's like another Beauty and the Beast, but with a fish monster. So it's a bit, if you imagine, a bit of like a Grinding Nemo is what I called it when I came out. But I really do think it's a good film. Very well paced, very interesting story, characters, and beautifully made. And I couldn't fault it. There are some issues in every film, but on a personal level, I think these films that I've mentioned, and Shape of Water especially, is a very, very good movie, and I highly recommend you go out and watch these movies. So that's my 5 films so far of 2018. There are another 7 months left of this year, so we shall see what's to come. There's some big films coming. Deadpool 2, I'm looking forward to Deadpool 2. There's the new Jurassic World movie, which I'm also looking forward to. And there's Star Wars, the Solo movie, which, of course, is another one which I'm really looking forward to. So there are some big films coming this year. There's a new Fantastic Beasts. And, of course, there's the big horror movie, Halloween, the new Halloween movie. I am ecstatic for that one. I can't wait. I'm being there on the opening night for Halloween, I tell you. I'll be there with a big box of popcorn and a large Coke, and I'm ready to sit down to see some serious Michael Myers. I haven't seen many of Michael Myers movies at the cinema, so I'll be interested to see how this one goes. It's got the original cast, it's got the original crew, it's even got John Carpenter involved, so it's very exciting if you're a horror fan. So yes, a big year ahead of us, what's left of it. And of course, this year is a very big year for me. I'm getting married next month. Sorry, ladies, I hate to let you all down. But yes, next month in June, I'm getting married. So I'm very excited about that. And yeah, it's a big part of my life that's going to change, but for the better, because I've met somebody very special. I haven't mentioned it on this channel that much. I've mentioned Katie a few times. But yeah, that's happening, and I'm rabbiting on as I usually do. But thank you for watching this video. Tell me what your favourite films of the year so far are down in the comments below. And I hope to hear from you, and I hope you have a good day, and bye.